October, and I'm endeavoring to capture this feeling of light. We have wonderful light here, Scottish light, and I've only been working a very short time, but come on in and I'll show you what I'm endeavoring to do right now. So right now I'm just blocking in these masses. I'm just thinking in terms of general value, even though it's green grass. I'm thinking of it in terms of light and shade, and so just blocking in the values. I have everything pretty much established. Later in the studio, obviously I'll be doing a lot more of finessing in details, but right now I'm just sort of getting an impression, an idea of what's here. And right now, if you want to come down to my palette, you can come in close. I'm mixing up this golden color with some cadmium yellow. It looks orange, but that's what it's called, cadmium yellow, and some lemon yellow. And I got some white in there too. So I'm going to go back up here, and what I'm trying to do is, it's the golden hour, so I'm trying to just make some suggestions of this golden light that's going across here in places. And maybe up here too, a little more white, whites. Horizontal bands that were going across there, and they're going to be layered on top of the other ones, the more rounded cumulus ones. And the sun, when I started, if you pan up there to the sky now, it's quite a bit lower. When I started, go back down there now, it was higher, right about there. And as you saw when the camera panned up there, there's this wonderful what's called crepuscular light, and I've almost made it a signature in my paintings. It's the Italian word is crepuscolo. It's very similar to the English word, but it means these beams of light that are coming out behind the clouds. Earlier there was another one that was coming across this way. So I just saw these wonderful Constable paintings in the National Gallery in London. He's the British painter that was known for his skies and clouds. He did these huge canvases. They had a show of them at the National Gallery in DC about 10 years ago, these huge plein air paintings. So thinking of him while I'm here in the UK. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to share with you. Is just this initial impression of the Hebrides, the Scottish coastline here, this beautiful late October day. So look for these on my website and my videos on my YouTube site, and also for the full-length videos that you'll also see on my website. So cheers, Brian Keeler signing off. Welcome to my studio in Ithaca, New York. Brian Keeler here. I'm in the final stages of doing this painting of the Isle of Lewis, which is in the Outer Hebrides, a string of islands off the northwest coast of Scotland. And hopefully you saw me in the earlier part of this painting where I was actually painting out there in the field. It was a beautiful day, and I was blocking into basic shapes. And I've kept with the basic composition that I established there that day. The distribution of shapes is one of the main things, is this horizon line, and then the
the sky taking up sort of 2/3 of the upper portion, almost 3/4 of the upper portion of the canvas here. But you'll perhaps remember that I've changed the sky quite a bit from the original version. It's gone through several stages, but I got the impression there on that day, it was an October afternoon, but I wasn't satisfied with the composition of the clouds, so I've reworked them, but it's still based on that initial impression. And right now I'm just popping up the highlights here with some white and bringing out this glint on the water. And I'm using a kind of a large brush. It's a number 4 filbert, but it's a relatively new brush, and just using a lot of pure white at this stage here to accentuate this glint on the ocean here. I reworked the sheep too. I kind of roughed the sheep in, and here I've reworked them and drew some new sheep, and right now I'm going to add some highlights here to the sheep here with a kind of a grayish mauvish color here to bring out some of the details on these sheep. The sheep were quite challenging to do. They seemed to me just like sort of blobs of white, and so I had to look at them closely. Of course, they were always moving, but I kind of just roughed them in there that day, and here I've worked them up with a little more detail, but they're still kind of general, keeping with the plein air feel, and they're all mostly light against dark, except for this one that I'm doing here right now. But just sort of generally suggested. I'm not doing all that much detail to them. But even with the sheep, I'm kind of thinking of their placement and distribution here. Cows are much more appealing to do. I like the way the shapes and especially Holstein cows, they lend themselves to depiction, I think, more than sheep do. I'm going to do a few more things to the water here. I'm going to the waves were coming in, and I bring that's a little bit too pinkish. I want something more bluish here. It wants to be a light value. So the first consideration of the color is the value, and then the hue, and then the chroma. Part of this green from the grass kind of bled in. I drug it over there with when I was varnishing it. It was not quite dry yet, so now I'm just going over and kind of getting that color out of there. So just kind of restating is the word here for this part. Restating in the respect that I'm just accentuating what I've already established out there on that initial impression, and accentuating it or bringing it out a little bit more. Right here was the distant shoreline here, and the waves were hitting in there. Then there was a little difference in the two mountains there. So, okay, I think that's what I wanted to show you here. Okay, so maybe I'll just do a little bit more up here to the sky. I'm just using this white, just pure white, and bringing out some of the edges and definition to this one cloud form here. So these clouds were all invented, but when I invent clouds, I'm thinking of how they're placed and the perspective of clouds, of how they go back into space. So that's something that I think about when I'm organizing and orchestrating these cloudscapes. Okay. All right. So this is how these paintings are transformed from infield presentations or infield impressions into studio finished pieces. And this is part of my new show called Celtic Coastlines and Hebridean Highlands. And it's in Scranton right now, but the paintings will be on my website, also briankeeler.com. Thanks so much for your attention.